occasion. That might be a cliche, but it is a momentous occasion. And I think everyone in this room has been along in the journey of creating this Buddha Hall. Every single person, every single one. No matter how you have been engaged, how you have been involved, how you have followed the progress, this is something we have built all together, and not just us. There are thousands of people around the world. In a way, we are the representatives that are celebrating the first, not complete actually, as you can see, but the first time that we are having a significant teaching with an extraordinary teacher. The blessing of having Serkong Rinpoche here to bless our building is unbelievable. And so you're sort of the proxies for thousands of people. So we rejoice that you are here. We appreciate all that everyone has done, and it's time to rejoice together. So let me give a little bit of an outline for this morning. We will start with some chanting. I'll explain that in a minute. There will be speakers that will share a little bit about key people who have been involved in developing the Buddha Hall. Then we'll do the official, including Rinpoche, Serkong Rinpoche. Then we will do the official, quote, blessing part, which he will lead, and we will do some recitations. And so all the text for the chants and also for just the speaking are on the screen. There it is, the other screen, are on the screen. So please follow along. This is not a concert. As Venerable Somton suggested, it's a sing-along. The tunes may not be all that familiar, but you can jump in and have the long. And then at the end of that, we will circumambulate the building all together with Rinpoche leading and going forward 3 times. 3 times around the building, chanting Om Mani Padme Hung. So we'll be like circling and blessing in every direction. So with all of that, what I'd like to do is invite everyone to stand as we invite our teachers into the room. I hope they're nearby. I didn't get a signal, but we'll see. Okay, I'll do that. Tayata Om Mune Mune Maha Mune Soha. Tayata Om Mune Mune Maha Mune Soha. Tayata Om Mune Mune Maha Mune Soha. Tayata Everyone, please face the central aisle. We'll begin with an incense offering chant that invites all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to come here to consecrate the Buddha Hall and to celebrate its almost completion. Meeting with our abbess, Venerable Thupchen Chödrön, our founder, Venerable Thupchen Chödrön, we will do the chant together. invite the abbess to come to the front and lead us in 3 half bows as we all face the Buddha. Venerable Samten, if you'll be the bell. We'll do 3 half bows together. Okay, 3 half bows. Everyone be seated. And first, as we always do, we'll set a motivation for our time together. Venerable Thupten Semkhe will lead us.
Today, I'd like to begin with a quote by Venerable Thupten Chodron 2 years ago, around this time, at the beginning of this undertaking, that I believe sets the tone for today. Quote, "I keep thinking we're in this little corner of Washington State and a corner of the US on planet Earth, which is a speck of dust in the huge universe, and we were asking all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas to come here. Like, who in the world are we? Well, there must be something going on. Yeah, there must be something going on. And it has to do with spreading the teachings on wisdom and compassion. And considering last night's storm, I think we got a RSVP from the Buddhas last night, about 9 o'clock. Now, 2 years later, there is something going on. It is a gathering of Dharma friends coming together to rejoice in all the generosity, kindness, wisdom, joyous effort, and fortitude cultivated in the minds of thousands of people to make the Buddha Hall a reality. Now, only the Buddha knows each being's contribution to this virtuous endeavor exactly as it is. There is no way that we can know that. And as Dennis said yesterday, many of them we will never meet, nor will they set foot on this land. The Abbey community could not achieve this small milestone, in the long-term view, a small milestone, without all of you. Sravasti Abbey is a prime example of a dependent origination in a very tangible, physical, visual way. Also, to really acknowledge that after almost 22 years, Sravasti Abbey is fulfilling its vast mission slowly, carefully, joyfully with your help, to preserve the Buddha's teachings, to root them deeply in Western soil, to share them with others, to build an enduring Sangha, and to serve sentient beings for as long as space endures. But as Rinpoche stated in the teachings this weekend, we can build a magnificent hall/container, but unless we take the essence of the Buddha's teachings, especially the teachings on dependent origination, to heart in our daily life, it will be just like praising the building, praising the container, but not seeing the diamonds contained inside. We need to integrate all the teachings and see them as personal instruction. The Buddha Hall is here to serve the three jewels and benefit sentient beings. They go together like two sides of the same coin. This is the home for the Buddhas and the spiritual home for all beings. This hall, this abbey, is all about cultivating bodhicitta, to be of the greatest benefit to as many beings as possible by providing the best conducive circumstances to study, to train, practice, and actualize the Dharma in our minds in this life, and hopefully in all future lives, all the way to awakening. As Venerable also quoted 2.5 years ago, the Buddha Hall and Sravasti Abbey are by the people, so many people from all over the place, for the people, for everybody and anybody that wishes to come here. So together with our practice and our sincere wish to be of the greatest benefit, may the Buddha symbolize being a lighthouse, casting the light of the precious Dharma over a sea of trees and beyond, to guide and inspire and to bring hope. And through our practice, may we each become a beacon of light for others as well, and to help create peace in this chaotic world.
I imagine we will hear multiple times about the phenomenon of dependent arising being the force that has built this Buddha Hall. However, if you think about it, the whole thing really began as the idea of one person. The whole idea of the Abbey began as one person. Our teacher, founder, and abbess of Sravasti Abbey, Bhikshuni Thupten Chudran. Please come speak with us.
I'm actually surprised that you invited me to speak, because usually what I say is, how come this wasn't done? They were supposed to finish this last week, and they're telling us next week. We know that whole routine. It's always next week. Yes. So the Buddha Hall will be done next week. Yes. And maybe somebody can speak at that time. So, yeah. This weekend when Rinpoche was teaching, I sat here and I was thinking, where am I? Yeah, because after you've been in a 3-year retreat of construction, yeah, a regular 3 retreat would be a vacation. Yeah, 3 years of construction. But as Venerable Semke said, yeah, it couldn't have been done without so many people, coming together for a common purpose. And as our brand says, we are trying to create peace in a chaotic world. So things went along with our brand. The last year has been more chaotic than when we started building the Buddha Hall. We have a number of people in Washington, D.C. to thank for that. And so our job is to keep on talking about forgiveness, compassion, wisdom, generosity, ethical conduct. That's our job. Yeah, doesn't matter how chaotic the world is. we're in samsara. And as Alex said to me many years ago, I remember I was living in Missouri then, and seeing if it was possible to start a monastery there. You can see how that worked out. And so I was on the phone with Alex, kind of complaining about something, and he says in his very fatherly voice, "This is samsara. What do you expect?" And he was right. You know, I expected everything to be peaceful, everything to go the way I wanted, everything to be easy. Yeah, but that isn't the way that you practice the path. Yeah, they say the great bodhisattvas, when they, meet somebody who's begging and says, "Give me this," that they feel immense joy, yeah, to have the opportunity to give. So I have to admit, I was not always feeling that in the construction process. Yeah, when we got the invoices from the contract. Yes, so it was definitely a practice, yeah. But to see over the weekend all these people sitting here hearing a text from Je Tsongkhapa taught by Serkong Rinpoche, who I've been inviting here since his previous life. And, it takes a while to convince him that it's worthwhile to come. But thank you very much today. Yeah, and you're invited for all your future lives, too. Okay? Yeah, so we're counting on you to show up. Yeah, because we will all show up. We want the teachings. We need the teachings. Yeah. And, so many other people just to thank personally for helping us. First of all, our wonderful architect, Tim Wilson. Stand up, Tim. Yeah. Who designed this whole colossal building. Yeah. And who helped us the whole process when things had to be redone and revised. And he was so easy to work with, because whenever we came with ideas, he listened, he incorporated them. Yeah, he obviously didn't know the usual reply around here, which is, "Yes, but." Yeah. And Tim just said yes and incorporated it, and we have a wonderful, beautiful building. Yeah. Another person who helped us from afar, George Chesro. Yeah. Who whenever things went awry, the go-to person was, if not Tim, it was George. George, help! The contractor, is charging us $5 gazillion for changing the door. What do we do? And, being an attorney, he always helped us out, complimentary. Thank you so much. Yeah. And also to thank all the people who Venerable Semke mentioned, who don't live here, or don't even live in this state, let alone this country, yeah, but who live in Asia, in Europe, around the globe, who somehow, through the incredible kindness in their hearts, want the Buddha Dharma to spread in this country. Yeah. And that just really touched me so deeply, that these people who, to get a ticket here would cost quite a bit of money, but they probably won't come, although we would love for them to come, but they really want to see the Dharma spread here. So to thank all those people from other countries who supported us, and all the people in this country who supported and made this building possible. After we build each of our big building, first Gautami, then Chenrezig Hall, then now the Buddha Hall, Venerable Simke and I usually stand outside the building and look at each other and say, how did this happen? And for me to look at this building and say, how did this happen? It's verging on a miracle, but it's actually a dependent arising, dependent on all of you also. People who came up, who vacuumed the floor, did the dishes, helped us in the forest, in the veggie garden, in the flower garden. So many people coming up here and volunteering and helping. So many people giving donations. So this is a Buddha Hall that is really for everybody. Because everybody together created it. So the next person to speak, is somebody who helped to hold the whole project together too, Venerable Tarpa. And after her is, yes, I know. What's your name? What's your name? You're not sure? Oh, okay. Venerable Ho-Ho, a.k.a. Venerable Sompton. Okay. And the two of them were, the basic team that kept everything going and met with the contractor and delivered messages and looked at the invoices and everything. So, thank you. Really, thanks so much.
Hi. I think I'm supposed to talk about what we're going to use the building for, and I have been thinking about that. But I have to say my mind has been flooded with the people who have helped. And for some reason, I've been thinking about the people who have actually passed away already. And you have to realize this has been a long journey, not just this building, but we started planning this building. We made a master plan. We spent 2 years making a master plan, which we finished in 2008. So we planned out the whole campus, so to speak. And then we had some help from a man who's passed away who really got us started when we built Gautami, because what Venerable Chodra and I were, what do we know? We didn't know what to do. We didn't know where to start, and he and his wife really helped us. But I also, this has been a long journey. And one person that I want to, that for some reason what she said to me really comes to mind was a couple weeks after I moved here. It's been a while. We went out with Sherry Brewster, who's now passed away also. And we went out and had dinner at a restaurant, which I've only done like 3 times, I think, since I've been here. But she said to us, do you remember this? About Venerable Chodra, she said, hold on to the tail of that comet. And every time I think about what to say, I'm like, yes, hold on to the tail of that comet. And she's been right from the first couple weeks I came here. So this building, like any time you want to do something, you have to have the causes and conditions. And You know, years ago, we actually didn't even have the causes to have teachings regularly. We didn't have enough people here. And then when you want to have teachings, you need facilities. And, you know, those of you who have been here, you know, our dining room has been a meditation hall, a dining room, a teaching hall. We've never slept anybody in there yet, but just hold on, it might happen. Anyway, so, you know, it's like that. You need facilities. And so I'm really, well, I was not, it took me 5 years to get over Chenrezig Hall, so I wasn't quite ready. Even when we started this building, I had a lot of trepidation, and my worst fears came true, and I actually lived through them, and I'm fine. And I learned a lot on this project. I actually had to grow. Sorry, I had to grow. I did, which we all did. And this was really a wonderful, I have to say, of all the projects we did, this was the most team effort. We had everybody in the community. And Venerable Samten and I were we always knew what was going on with each other. We tried to always communicate. And I think we got a lot closer, which was nice. And everyone here, I mean, the whole community, this has been a really everyone on board all the time kind of endeavor. So what I'm looking forward to now that we have more of what we need in terms of facilities is, I was thinking, you know, you need the fourfold Sangha for the Dharma to continue in this world, and this helps to support that. But for me, that almost feels too small, because we've been helped by so many people who aren't Buddhist, and they are part of our community. This creating peace in a chaotic world, this is our big vision. Bodhicitta is our big vision. We need the fourfold Sangha, which helps to keep the teachings alive, and that's crucial. And within that, there's going to be all the people that are the ripple effect, they're impacted by that. So what this means, this hall means, really is that the teachings have more of a grounding in this country and in this world, just a little piece on this little piece of property in the middle of nowhere. It's a really important, as you can see, because it impacts so many people. And the other thing is more tangible. There's certain programs that we can revitalize, that like the annual monastic gathering that used to happen in the US until the pandemic. We actually have the facilities now to host that. We've never really had that before. And you can see it's a little tenuous sometimes. Sometimes people forget to turn the well back on. And now we're low on water, but we'll be okay. And sometimes we have a huge storm and blew out something. A few things got damaged from that lightning. But we have the facilities now. And so we already have things in the works and more things possible. And it just makes it so we really have the conditions that we need for many good things to happen. So I'm just really overjoyed, because my favorite thing about living here is that everybody's involved. Everybody makes this happen. It's what makes it so beautiful to be here. And so that ripples out. Everyone here, we just ripple out, and the little ways that we can help this world is really tangible and important. So that's what this hall means to me. And Venerable Samten, who kept it all together all the time.
So I thought I'd share some of the highlights of the construction process. And there's no time, and Venerable Chini is going to be giving me this when it's time for me to stop, because there's so many highlights. The first one that comes to mind is that we got back in touch with Tim Wilson in the spring of 2019. And we went to his office in April of that year, and we hadn't seen him for quite some time. But it was so cool that we sort of slid into gear in his office, and the brainstorming started for this building. And it was just this ongoing flow. And so, as you heard, Tim has been the architect for Gautami House, Chenrezig Hall, and now the Buddha Hall. And Tim exhibits traits that I think all of us in the room would like to exhibit to our teacher, and that's how to listen and not say yes, but, and to come up with these brilliant solutions to some of our crazy ideas, because some of our ideas were a bit crazy. And Tim toned it down and made it realistic and work. And then Tim was with us every time we had a meeting, which initially, for about 2 years, was about once a week. And so I'm sure that Heather at some point was thinking, what are you doing up there, Tim? But he was here guiding us the whole way through, what shall I say, what's politically correct? Challenging moments. There are many challenging moments. So that was April of 2019. Then I was a very big push behind having an acoustician team to work on the sound in this building. And so I reached out eventually to a group in Chicago. And one of the senior partners, Scott Pfeiffer, came up just on his own. He just happened to be on the west side of the country. And he came over October 31st, 2020, and started talking with us. And there was immediate chemistry with Scott. And so many people involved in this project are now our friends. It's just really, really beautiful that we've made so many new friends, like all the friends we have in this room right now. Then COVID happened. So the planning all went online, and there was that kind of thing for a while. I should back up for a minute. No, I'm on track here. So then, 3 years ago, 1 month and 7 days and about 3 hours, they came up to start breaking ground. They came up with these machines to start ripping up the soil and taking out the trees. And so that year, in July of 2022, we were under the impression that this building would be completed a year later. Well, things happened, and anyone who's built a house or you've renovated, you all know that things happen, things come up, it takes longer. In the first week of construction, we were meeting with some of these excavators, and at first, they were standing over here on one pod of people, and I think Venerable Tarpa and I, maybe Venerable Semke and Venerable Damcho, we were on this other thing, and so we finally decided, well, maybe we should go over and say hello, because they were looking quite serious, and they're all standing like this. So we introduced ourselves, and then this one fellow said to me, he said, are you going to try and convert us? And I said, you know what, we don't even know how. We don't do this. We don't do it. We're building this place for the world. It is for the world. Anyone can come. If people choose to learn what we're offering here, then yes, it's for everyone, but we're not going to do anything about that. Let's see. What's another highlight? Ah, yes. So things moved on. And actually, we started giving tours of the Buddha Hall before the hole was even dug. So we would stand out in the field, and sometimes we would have Tim's plans upside down, and the east entrance, which was the main entrance, people were pointing that way. And so everything was sort of discombobulated, but everyone who came on these tours when there was no building and no hole, everyone was thrilled, and every single time we gave a tour, it's just the joy of people being so happy that this is here. And a lot of these people who are coming on tours aren't even Buddhists. They don't plan on becoming Buddhists, maybe not in this life, but everyone was so supportive of this very important project. Then December 6th, I remember the day clearly, there was a lot of snow. It was 2022, so we're a few months into the project. And just down here, we call this turnaround area the teardrop. And I didn't realize, because Venerable Tarpa and I were walking up here multiple times a day, that there were some new people working down in the teardrop. And they had a trailer there, and there's all kinds of wood. And so I thought, I want to find out what they're doing. And so I didn't want to sound too stupid, although since encountering the Dharma, I've gotten used to sounding stupid. But I thought to ask him, like, I wanted to say, who are you and what are you doing here? But I thought that'd be kind of rude. So I went up and I said, well, what are you doing? And this guy who was cutting all these boards and measuring, and it's really a cold day, he stopped everything and he looked at me and he said, I'm building you a temple. And it's like, you know, in one of your favorite movies when the lens sort of goes like this. And there's some dramatic music. And it's like, in this small mind, I thought, we're building a temple until the end of time. And this guy really nailed it. He's building us a temple. Another hallmark moment happened 10 days earlier. They had a really tough time, challenging time pouring the slab for this building. Again, it was 2022. They had multiple attempts of trying to bring up the trucks to get the concrete up here even, and if you've been on the S-curve, all of you have, in winter the S-curve can become a sheet of ice. So imagine these huge concrete trucks trying to get up here. So they had to put down gravel multiple times to make this happen. Just before the day they were going to pour, it would snow like crazy in the night. And then these poor young construction workers would have to get toboggans and shovel all the snow into the toboggans to get the slab cleared off. This happened at least twice. So on that day, December 16th, it finally happened. And they started in the dark pouring concrete. And it went throughout the day, and it was really, really challenging. I don't know how many concrete trucks came up here. 14 trucks came up to pour the slab. And near the end, I was filming the whole thing, and I was getting in everyone's way. This one fellow came up to me, and he said, "Well, how do you like it?" I said, "It's beautiful. It's just beautiful." And then he said, "You know, this is the hardest job I've ever done in my life. I've been doing concrete for 25 years. This is the most difficult." And I said, "Wow, your guys are really incredible. Just tell them we're so grateful for all their help." And then I went away and did something else, filming something else. A little while later, someone else came up to me and he said, "Do you know who you were talking to?" And I said, "No. I was talking to someone who was involved with this concrete pour." And he said, that's the foreman and the owner. And he is just so impressed at what you're doing here. He's so happy that he could make it work for you. So I'm going to close with this idea because I think I'm beyond my time. All the subcontractors had this wish that they did their best work for us. It's just really amazing. And they were so impressed to hear that this place is built for the world and that they could come. And I think I'm going to cry now. Oh, darn. Let's see. But I think the person that articulated the best about all these subcontractors, thank you, Robert, who did the stucco work. He was up here a few times, and the last time he was up here, he just stopped me on the way as I was walking by, and he said, "Hey, you know what? This is a miracle." It is, but it's not. It's a dependent arising. So for you former Catholics, it's not a miracle. And the construction workers worked very hard. If you've ever watched construction, this is hard physical labor. Hundreds of workers were up here doing hard physical work. A lot of them have their arms over their head a lot of the time, a lot of the day. And they just wanted to do their best. I'll finish off with Jake, who did that circular place. He was the mutter and taper, and he did the areas around the windows, and he said, "I love my job. I love being here. I love where you're living, and I want this to be beautiful for you. So I love this, and I love you." Oh, Tim, our dear friend, who's become a dearer friend.
Friends indeed. Hello. I want to just say, hopefully, we made it, right? Almost. Last time I was here, we said that, almost, and we weren't in this building, but now that we are. And is it not beautiful? It feels great to be here. Yeah, thank you. I am so proud of the work that we've done. They said we've been involved for all 3 buildings, or the last 3 that have been built. Could be more, we'll see. But this, I'm going to say, was the big one. This is the special one. Very special project. I am extremely proud of what we've done here and the friends that I've made that have welcomed me to the community, and I appreciate that. And I have a huge amount of gratitude for that. And I'm honored to be here and to be part of what this place has become and is going to be used for many, many years. I know we've talked a little bit about the process. It was a struggle along the way, a little bit. On occasion, I always say, to me, it is putting the pieces together of the puzzle. And some puzzles take a little longer than others. And I wanted to share, I thought of a memory that I thought would be kind of fun. At least for me, it was thinking back, was one of the funnest parts of this project. And actually, all the projects that we did together were the meetings that we had. And there was quite a few. But the design meetings were mostly at my office. And the fun part of it was, so just the experience of being there. It was usually around, I'm going to say, the Abbey's lunchtime is when most of the meetings happen. So there would be this little car that would pull up to my office, and out would come 4, I'm going to say maybe sometimes 8 people out of this little car. And it was so fun. We had, and everybody was dressed in robes, and we had other companies in the building, and it did turn a few heads. And we were like, it was like, wow, but this was a special place, special people. And so we would get in there and we would have these meetings, and I'm just going to say it was at lunch. And so I would often have muffins there, right? And so I think I was known as the Muffin Man for quite a while. But it was always at lunch, so it was very fun. But we would get to business, and I'm telling you, this group, the design group, I call it the design team. It was not me. It was all of us together. We worked together, and we meticulously went through plans. And a few changes along the way. Suggestions of how we could do things differently. And I appreciate that you say I was a good listener. We could ask Heather about that, I guess. I think for the most part, I try to be. But the most intellectual and sophisticated clients I've ever worked with. But it was a true joy. Because I don't know, for me they were fun meetings. And look at what we created, a very, very special place. So I wanted to share that. It was just the image of the car driving into the parking lot and all these people just barreling out of this little car. But boy, did we do business, right? We took care of stuff. And we had muffins along the way. I don't want to talk real long, so I just kind of wanted to put this out there. For me, this is a special moment, and I'm just going to say life is full of rare moments, and to me, this day and this place is a very special one to me, and I thank you for letting me be part of it. Yep. I'm not sure who's next.
George?
Thanks, Tim. So another dear friend, I don't know where you're sitting, George. Oh, right there. I've known George, I guess, since I moved to the Abbey, and he's helped us like all the time. I'm the one usually calling, actually, like, help, I am lost. But please come up and speak to our group and share your wisdom again. He's helped us to stay calm and do the right thing. I appreciate that.
Thank you. I feel so lucky to be here, and listening to Rinpoche's teachings, I asked myself, George, why are you here? And apart from my parents, I was thinking, why am I here? And I thought, well, going back to 1989, I got a call from a Dharma friend that there's a very learned, wise, humble Western monk in town, and she likes to teach. And would you like to arrange some teachings? So we didn't have a Dharma center in Miami, but there was a Zen group that I would sometimes sit with in their home. And there's also a Chinese Pure Land practice group that I would sometimes join. And I called all of them up, and we arranged teachings, and Venerable Children taught for 3 days on 3 principal aspects of the path here in Miami. And that created a connection. Venerable Children was traveling a lot in those days, and she said, George, I have some donations. Could you hold them for me? And of course, you never trust a lawyer with cash. But Venerable Children trusted me. And she also entrusted me with some cassette tapes. I don't know if you remember. You're too young for most of you to know what a cassette tape is, but these were tapes of various meetings that she participated in. And over the next few years, I kept getting envelopes every maybe 5-6 months, once or twice a year, with some cassette tapes in them. And I never listened to them because I considered them private. But they said them Dharma Friendship Association. So apparently these were meetings that they had, and I collected those. And it was only a couple of years ago that I discovered these tapes on a shelf in my home, and I sent them to the Abbey. And Venerable Children's enthusiasm, conviction, drive was the same in 1989 as it is today. But her voice was much younger. And I also was thinking, well, why am I here? It's also due to the kindness of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Well, why would that be? Because he sent Geshe Sopa to the United States, and Geshe Sopa didn't want to come to the United States, but he couldn't say no to His Holiness. And he created Deer Park Buddhist Center. And Deer Park Buddhist Center gave me the opportunity to learn construction law against my own desires. And how did that come about? Well, from 2001 to 2005, he gave a course on a commentary on a very difficult text by Chandra Kirti on the Middle Way. Venerable Children was there, Lama Zopa Rinpoche was there. And that temple, we call it the Kalachakra Temple because it was built as an outdoor pavilion. The first place, His Holiness conferred the first Kalachakra in the West at Deer Park Buddhist Center in 1989. And in 1981, 1982, Venerable Serkong Rinpoche was there with Alex giving commentary on the Kalachakra. And in 2001, 2002, the Kalachakra Temple, which just had been an enclosed platform, was no bigger than the log cabin meditation hall here, and there were about 50 people crammed in there, and many of them were monastics. And Geshe Sopa realized that we needed a larger temple. And he asked me to do the legal work, and I said, Geshe, that would be legal malpractice. I'm not trained in construction law. That's a highly specialized field. And well, the answer was, you can learn. So I learned by experience. And it wasn't so much the law that was important to me. I learned that general contractors can be a tough lot to deal with. They're used to people talking kind of rough and tough to them, but I learned that you can disarm them with kindness. And if you approach them with kindness, they'll do just about anything you want as long as it's reasonable. And so that temple got built, and I got immersed in construction law and how to deal with general contractors. And then flash forward to 2008, I got a call from Venerable Tarpa, we're going to build a residence for the nuns. Can you look at this contract? And back then, the contract was very short. It was maybe 5 or 6 pages on a Word document, of all things. And that got built. Venerable Tarpa had some difficulty dealing with the contractors, but I said, don't worry, just treat them with kindness, and everything will work out. And be ready to give and take. There's got to be a lot of give and take, and sometimes more give than take. But things did work out. And then flash forward to 2012, I get another email from Venerable Tarpa, an email this time. We're going to build a dining hall. Can you look at the contract? Well, this time, the contract was also on a Word document, but it got a little longer. In addition to the contract, there was an addendum. And so it was about 15 pages in all, and we reviewed it. And over 2 years, that got built. And I remember I was here for the consecration in 2014. And as I was leaving, I said to Venerable Children, based on my experience at Deer Park, next will be a Buddha hall. And she said, what? We just finished Chen Rizig Hall. Well, here we are, 11 years later, in this beautiful Buddha hall. And I want to tell you a few things. In addition to the kindness of Geshe Sopa in allowing me to study Dharma there and learn construction law, Lama Zopa Rinpoche was also at that course. It was amazing, the people who came from all over the world for that course. And as they were getting ready to build the new temple, Lama Zopa gave a talk to us. And he said that it doesn't matter how small your contribution is, even if it's only $1, that there's no greater merit than you can possibly get than contributing in whatever way you can to not only the construction of a Buddha hall, but the ongoing upkeep of a Buddha hall. And why is it that that merit is so special from supporting a Buddha hall? And Lama Zopa Rinpoche said it's because in a Buddha hall, the Dharma is being practiced, it's being taught, and the merit multiplies exponentially for as long as that Buddha hall exists. And it's just multiplying and multiplying so that there's no greater merit, according to Lama Zopa, than supporting in whatever way you can. So I thought, wow, what a great opportunity. I get to help with the legal work. And so my motivation was selfish, I have to admit, because I needed help, all the merit I could get, because for me, studying Dharma is like walking up a steep slope. Every step gets harder and harder, and it's easy to fall. It's much easier to walk down that slope than to walk up. So whatever merit I could, wow, what a precious opportunity I'm being given to collect merit. And I viewed the same here. I mean, they always, the nuns always thanked me for helping Sravasti Abbey. I said, but you're helping me because you're giving me this precious opportunity to support the Abbey. And I want to encourage all of you here, anybody that's listening online, to support Sravasti Abbey, because I'm going to tell you from experience that merit can ripen in ways most unusual that you can never ever even contemplate or fathom, no matter the extent of your imagination. It's just incredible. And Lama Zopa Rinpoche said something else that always stood in my mind. He said, whenever you're engaging in Dharma activities of whatever kind, here building a temple, the Buddhas, the Bodhisattvas, the Dharma protectors, they're always watching and they're ready to help. All you need to do is ask. And boy, did I ask for help with this temple. more than once. This was a 35-page contract in small print, and it had an addendum to it with another 35 pages of conditions that modified, explained all the provisions in the contract. Venerable Tarpa and I spent about 2 weeks reading that contract, trying to understand it. And you read the first page, by the time you get to the second page, you forget what was on the first page. That's the type of reading it is. And we read it over and over, we made some changes, and finally we presented to Venerable Chodron and said, it's okay, you can sign it. And the contract was signed. And this contract had 2 provisions in it that were very important to protect the Abbey. And we made sure that they were in there. One was that there was a guaranteed maximum price. The second provision was that the contract had to be finished within 1 year. And if it wasn't, there was a penalty of $250 per day, which if you add it up is $7,500 a month if the month has 30 days. A little bit more if it's 31. And about a year in, the contractor wrote a letter to Venerable Tarpa and saying, I want out. I'll continue, but not on a guaranteed maximum price, and I want to do it on a cost plus. And that would just blow a hole in the roof in terms of the costs. And my experience with contractors was it's either their way or no way. And how are we going to deal with this? That's the first time I asked the Dharma protectors for help. What am I going to do? And the Abbey's relying upon me. And I didn't know what to do. But I remembered one thing. Treat the contractor with kindness. And so what I did was we wrote a letter using the most polite, compassionate, kind words you can find in the dictionary. And we told the contractor that we believed his interpretation of the contract was wrong, but also we understand that you're struggling here. The subcontractors had vastly underestimated the costs of certain aspects of this project, and he was at the risk of losing money, especially with that $250 a day penalty. So what are we going to do? So I said, well, why don't we put a clause in that letter saying not only are you wrong, but by the way, if you continue this project, which we're relying upon you to do, we can consider waiving that penalty. And so and as this point, after we sent the letter that I asked the Dharma protectors for help, I said, now's the time. If you're really listening, if you're really ready to help us, now we need your help. And they came through for us because the contractor agreed that he was wrong, and he agreed to continue the project. And the second time I asked the Dharma protectors for help was at the end of the project. We get a letter asking for another $150,000 in compensation because this project had, 50 or 60 change orders, Venerable Tarpa? Over 100 change orders. And every time there was a change order, the contractor said, well, we increased the price for this change, but I didn't include my time for the overhead that was incurred by having a trailer here, the administrative expenses, and that adds up to $150,000. So again, we read the contract, and I said, well, you made a little mistake. What was your mistake? Yes, you could have had those additional expenses, but you had to put them in at the time of the change order, and it was too late now. So we wrote another nice letter, but this time, even though we didn't owe the contractor anything, I said to Venerable Chodron and Venerable Tarpa, we have to give this contractor something. Why is that? Number one, he acted in good faith. When he threatened to leave before he stayed on. But more importantly, this is a Buddha hall. This is a place where the Dharma is going to be practiced and taught. And it's very important that the contractor leave this project with only positive thoughts and positive feelings towards this building. So we paid him, I think, an additional $77,000 that we didn't owe, but it was the best money he could have possibly spent because it showed a willingness to act with kindness and compromise. And so those two things that Lama Zopa said about the merit of building a Buddha hall, the merit, the willingness, the ability of the Dharma protectors to help, they all came true. In my case, my motivation was somewhat selfish because I needed help with my Dharma practice, so I needed merit. And merit's very difficult to come by, especially prostrations. Boy, those are hard. But little did I expect or ever imagine in my wildest dreams that I would be here for the last 2 days listening to this most precious, kind teacher here on these such special teachings on dependent origination. And I'd had those teachings before, but Rinpoche has a way to make them practical, so they're registering in a way that they had never registered before. So all the merit that one collects, it can ripen in ways you never ever know. So my parting words are, please support the Abbey. This hall is going to require a lot of money to keep the lights on, to keep it in pristine shape. We know that because at Deer Park, after 20 years, even the geothermal air conditioning systems have to be replaced. It's going to cost a lot of money, and I encourage everybody here, listening online, to please support the Abbey. And I can promise you, guarantee you, based on my experience, that there's no better investment you can make in your entire life. The return on the investment is the greatest by supporting Sravasti Abbey, and in particular this beautiful Dharma hall where the merit is going to continue to multiply every day for as long as this building exists. Thank you so much.
Thank you, George. And would you just hand the microphone to Venerable Chudran, who's going to introduce her precious teacher?
So I have to introduce my precious teacher. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I've been inviting him to come here since his previous life. Because I met his previous life in 1977. I was a baby nun, and Serkong Rinpoche came to Kopan Monastery at the request of Lama Yeshe and Lama Zopa. And somehow, you probably don't remember this from your previous life, but every day when you were giving teachings, I had very little money, but I would put a little offering on your table, a banana or some cookies or something like that, because I really wanted to make a connection. And that connection was made, and I listened to many teachings from his predecessor, which really, from the beginning of the path to the end of the path, I received teachings. Practicing is another issue, but I got the teachings. Yeah. So then the previous one passed away, the new one was born, and I met Rinpoche when he was 4 years old in Dharamsala, and we played Legos together. And one of our friends from Singapore brought a microscope for children, and we looked at slides under that microscope that didn't really magnify things very well. We took long walks, we talked, and I tortured him with learning English. And especially when he had to write notes, to different supporters. He wanted me to write them, but I wanted him to learn how to write English, not just speak it. And so I tortured him with trying to sound out English words. Do you remember when you were learning and sound out words? How do you spell beautiful? How do you spell enough? Yeah, enough. E-N-U-F. No, Rinpoche, that's not the way it's spelled. Anyway, he managed to do that. It took a little bit more time to teach him to say he does something or he doesn't something, do that, instead of he don't or he do. But he mastered that too. So, so he's waiting for me to master the Dharma, but I'm definitely a slow learner here. So, Rinpoche, please give some teachings. I should also say Rinpoche's previous life was the debating partner for His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And so when His Holiness took his Geshe exams, he was one of the debating people. And there you go. Thank you, Rinpoche, so much.
Thank you. Okay. So I know your look, and now I'm going to make something complicated. So I will keep it simple. I'm not going to on the rough road now. So I will start with a short story which Buddha told to some of his students. So Buddha said, one of the students asked Buddha, in this place, there's so much harmony. When we reach here, we can feel this energy. Every time we travel, this specific place has so much impact on us that our practice becomes quite smooth. What is that reason? So then Buddha smiled and said, you all go and walk and go up on this hill and see what will you witness, and then come back to me. So the monks and the nuns went to see what is there. And then they saw an elephant, and then a monkey, and a rabbit, and a bird. So they saw they're staying very peacefully there. And then that's what they noticed. And then they came back and make a prostration to Buddha and report to Buddha what they noticed. So then they feel just ordinary. There's nothing something special. Then Buddha said, well, I hope you got the answer. So they said, no, we didn't. So the Buddha said, well, don't you see the harmonious behavior between these 4 brothers? So they each help each other. Due to this impact, in this area there is a huge impact, so the other people, through this harmonious impact, we get this peaceful joy, and then more automatically you get impact to stabilize your mind. This is the reason. So that's why in the community of Sangha, the main resource of the happiness is harmony. And then when there's a harmony, everything will grow out from there. So as Buddha said, and now when a Venerable and one other Venerable was talking, miracle. So the source of this dependent origination is that firstly, in the Sangha community, that between the nuns there's strong bond, faith. Through this, then they wanted to do this, give something to others, the people here, you are here today. And then we also talk about the kindness of sentient beings. So when you are praising all other people who support, that Buddha originally, he talked a long time ago. He said, all these 6 perfections, where this practice only comes through the sentient beings. So we wanted to become stronger, so that's why we wanted to become a Buddha. And how we learn to become stronger, not from our teachers, through the supporters. So now, one of the main, the seat of the Abbey is I witnessed through Venerable Tsenshap this joyous effort. Day and night, she works so hard, try to practice, and then all these books that she wrote, and how many she has changed many people's life. Huge impact. And lately she finished the 10 volume of the very inspiring book that she worked with His Holiness. Even though she sent me all the copy, then she knows my habit. I don't read much. So she, in the letter she says, the cover is so nice. But recently when I was giving a teaching in a LMB in Santa Cruz, one person wanted to see me and we talked about Dharma. He said, I'm not Buddhist yet, but I can surely say Buddha's teaching really has strong impact on my day-to-day life. I read this book by this Western nun of this something. Then I said, Tupten Shadun. Yeah, something like that. I wrote the whole book. Wow, that's so good. I have highlighted so many things I don't understand, so my book is pretty yellow. But I'm definitely going to read it until I don't become quite decisive to understand it clearly. So I was a bit jealous. But then I bring up the practice and I say, no jealous, rejoice. But still the jealousy is little there. Yeah. So this is how I think was the seed for the Abbey. Now, the people you are going to study here, meditate here, and you should be ready to listening to the suffering of others, because this should be the kind of hospital. If you see whole world is kind of now in a very bad shape, and many people will come and to bring out their emotions, and they really wanted to lean on someone, definitely they will knock on the Abbey's door. And then the nuns and the monks, you need to help them. So, and then the 10 volume books should be practiced here, because this is how we need to preserve Buddha Dharma, His Holiness teaching, and Anitta children's teaching. So remember, Anila, when you visit Ling Rinpoche one time, Ling Rinpoche always teases you by saying, Serkong Rinpoche Anila. So today I'm so proud that I'm here in Abbey and seeing this. I didn't imagine like this. It is far much beyond than what I imagined. So I can congratulate you on, all of you, and especially Anila you, for all this effort. And now, as the restaurant is open, we need to ready for the customers. and be ready for, there could be so many customers that we know some customers can be very annoying. So be ready for it. Oh yeah. I will definitely come again, and we should keep in touch, because actually we are on the same boat to help sentient beings. And we wish Anitta children a very long life. And then now it is the time to for you to give all those teachings, the experience that you have collected from all the different masters. And now you need to lead them. Please do that. And the Venerable Sanji Khandro, I'm very happy, because but only for Venerable it is too much. But now there's a Venerable Sanji Khandro. So this is so beautiful. And then you have so many wonderful students already here. Sometimes there is a monastery and you build a monastery and you have to look for students. That's difficult. So you already have a good team here. And so I'm very happy. And then I have Alex with me here. So, as I said on the first day, seeing the two students, maybe I can use this English term, rocking. In this samsara. So that is a huge inspiration. So witness, maybe imagine that I am the real Serkong Rinpoche here, and how I will be so happy to see these incredible beings they have become. So I just wanted to thank for all the effort they have put in to continuously helping other people. And please continue until the samsara ends. So thank you, and thank you so much for inviting me here. And as the people all supported Abbey, so I really wanted to personally thank you very much for all the support and love, and please, we are dependent on you, you are dependent on us. So let's do it together once more. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Rinpoche. And so now we'll move into the more formal aspect of the ceremony. We'll move into ceremony, actually. We will do some recitations. Rinpoche will do a blessing in Tibetan. And so follow along on the screen. I think it would be good to stand for this part. It's not a very long time to stand, but it would. We do the recitations, the chanting. Rinpoche does the offering. Rinpoche, would you like a chair for the blessing that you want to do? No? Okay. And so we'll begin with the praise of the teacher, our root teacher, the Buddha, through his 12 deeds. By skillful compassion, born in the Shakya clan, you vanquished Mara's forces while others could not. You're radiant like a mountain of gold, King of the Shakyas, homage at your feet. You first produced the thought of Bodhi, then completed the 2 collections of merit and wisdom, to become the protector of sentient beings through your vast deeds in this age, I praise. You benefited the gods, then knowing it was time to tame others too, you descended from the celestial realm as an elephant, saw the clan of your birth, and entered the womb of Queen Maya. Homage to this deed. When 10 months had passed, you were born Shakya Prince in fortunate Lumbini Grove. Brahma and Indra praised you with their supreme marks and confirmed your Bodhi lineage. Homage to this deed. As a powerful youth, lions amongst humans, you showed skill in Anga and Magadha, vanquished all people inflated with arrogance, unrivaled one, homage to this deed. By skillful means to conform to the conduct of the world and to avert any censure, you governed a kingdom and assumed a retinue and queen. Homage to this deed. Seeing samsaric activities have no essence, you left the householder's life and went forth, and became fully renounced at the stupa of great purity. Homage to this deed. You practiced austerities for 6 years on the banks of the Naranjana River, diligently intent on awakening and perfect in effort, attained the supreme meditative stability. Homage to this deed. To bring to fruition the efforts you made from beginningless time, unmoving you sat beneath the Bodhi tree in Magadha, and fully awakened to perfect Bodhi. Homage to this deed. Swiftly observing beings with compassion, in Varanasi and other holy places, you turned the wheel of Dharma, setting disciples on the three vehicles. Homage to this deed. You vanquished the Maras in the land of Kormanjik, and put an end to the erroneous wrangling of Devadatta, the 6 heretical teachers and others. Sage victorious, homage to this deed. With qualities unmatched in the 3 worlds, at Sravasti you displayed wondrous miracles and spread the teachings. Devas and humans made great offerings to you. Homage to this deed. To exhort the lazy to practice the Dharma, at the pure site of Kushinagar, you manifested the perishing of the deathless Vajra-like body and entered Nirvana. Homage to this deed. Because in reality there is no destruction, and so future sentient beings could create merits. At that very place you left many relics, the 8 portions of your remains. Homage to this deed. By the teacher's coming to the world, by his doctrine's brilliance like sunlight, by harmony among the doctrine's holders, long may the Dharma abide. May all be auspicious. Rinpoche, you would lead us now in your blessing. Do you have everything in you?
Does he need a microphone?
I will chant in Tibetan language, okay? O malu simjin gunji gunjo jin do de bongche meji jomza la wana malu yanda kenju jomden korje nende she so o jida sanje tamje ne hamon jo de homon shu Tara indi shi so da yen ji do indi ru ngo bo yen da shu ne yen chan ju si me ne ge ba ta yun ji yen da bu tun de do yen da gen jo Sanje dan chanju samba tamchen da la kongsu suwe jise na ye ta na nyebe simjin ye ka na me nebe nyan ye len debe sa la ma sha ye yawa na nye nye le men da wa tenpa shuzo suwe chira don ya guzon do ye den de na la sa da chu da me da longge nebe ma shi ye pa do jise simjin da pa do me ba zi jen tenpa shuzo tenpa shu ne yan da do simjin tamche la cho don tomo ji ngu ru ma le ba zi do som su dra den tra ben za ye so ha cho chen no shube sanje da chanju samba tamche da la kongsu suwe jise na ye ta da simjinji gana mini venye nende vesa lama shaje bado yawa na nye le mendo wa tenpa shuzo su jira donyo guzon do ye ten dina la sada chuda me la longen nebe ma shiji bado chizu simjingi de bado me ban zinyen tenpa shu ne yen dada simji damje la chodon domo jingu ru ma le ba zido sura dendra ben zayi so ha cho juno shube sanje de chen ju simba damje da la kongsu su jise na je tada nye be simjinji gana mini venye nende vesa lama shaje yawa na nye le mendo wa tenpa shuzo su jira donyo guzon do ye ten dina la sada chuda me la longen nebe ma shiji bado chizu simjingi de bado me ban zinyen tenpa shu ne Dada semje tamje la chodon tumu yungu ruma lupa zedo omsudra dendra benzaye so ha chanju semjo rinpoche maje padam yeyo Jewa nyamba mewa yang kone kondo pevara sho chanju semjo rinpoche maje padam yeyo Jewa nyamba mewa yang kone kondo pevara sho chanju semjo rinpoche maje padam yeyo Jewa nyamba mewa yang kone kondo pevara sho
Venerable Damcho will lead us in the Heart Sutra. Yes, please sit down. She's got a mic. Just go get it. Here.
Namo Shakyamuni Buddha Namo Shakyamuni Buddha Namo Shakyamuni Buddha Thus I have heard of one time the Blessed One was dwelling in Rajagriha and Vulture's Mountain together in one method with a great assembly of monastics, great assembly of bodhisattvas. At that time the Blessed One was absorbed in the concentration of the countless aspects of phenomena called profound illumination. At that time also superior Avalokiteshvara, the bodhisattva, the great being, was looking perfectly at the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom, perfectly looking at the emptiness of inherent existence of the five aggregates. Also then through the power of Buddha, Venerable Shariputra said to superior Avalokiteshvara, Bodhisattva, the great being, how should a child of the lineage train who wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom? Thus he spoke, and superior Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, replied to Venerable Shariputra as follows: Shariputra, whatever son or daughter of the lineage wishes to engage in the practice of the profound perfection of wisdom should look perfectly like this, subsequently looking perfectly and correctly at the emptiness of inherent existence of the five aggregates. Also is empty, emptiness is form, emptiness is not other than form, form also is not other than emptiness. Likewise, feeling, discrimination, composition of factors and consciousness are empty. Shariputra, like this, all phenomena are merely empty, having no characteristics. They are not produced and do not cease. They have no defilement and no separation from defilement. They have no decrease and no increase. Therefore, Shariputra, in emptiness there is no form, no feeling, no discrimination, no composition, no factors, no consciousness. There's no eye, no ear, no nose, no tongue, no body, no mind, no form, no sound, no smell, no taste, no tactile object, no phenomena. There is no eye element, and so forth up to no mind element, and also up to no element mental consciousness. There is no ignorance and no exhaustion of ignorance, and so forth up to no aging and death, no exhaustion of aging and death. Likewise, there is no suffering, origin, cessation, or path, no exalted wisdom, no attainment, and also no non-attainment. Therefore, Shariputra, because there is no attainment, bodhisattvas rely on and abide in the perfection of wisdom. Minds have no obstructions and no fear, passing utterly beyond perversity. They attain the final state beyond sorrow. Also, all the Buddhas who perfectly reside light, and the 3 times relying upon the perfection of wisdom become manifest and complete Buddhas in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete awakening. Therefore, the mantra of the perfection of wisdom, the mantra of great knowledge, the unsurpassed mantra, the equal to the unequal mantra, the mantra that thoroughly pacifies all suffering, since it false should be known as the truth. The mantra of the perfection of wisdom is proclaimed Tayata Gate Gate Para Gate Para Samgate Bodhi Soha Putra Bodhisattva. Great beings should train in the profound perfection of wisdom like this. Then the blessed one arose from that concentration and said to Superior Avalokiteshvara Bodhisattva, the great being that he had spoken, well, good, O child of the lineage, it is like that, since it is like that, just as you have revealed the profound perfection of wisdom should be practiced in that way. And the Tathagatas will also rejoice when the blessed one had said this. Venerable Shariputra Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva, the great being, and that entire assembly of disciples, as well as the worldly beings, gods, humans, demigods, spirits, were delighted and highly praised what had been spoken by the Blessed One.
Dedication from the stages of the path to awakening. By accumulating through long effort the 2 collections as vast as the sky, may I become the chief of the victorious ones, a guide of all beings whose minds are blinded by ignorance. In all lives until I reach that point, may Manjushri look after me with loving kindness. After I find the supreme path, complete in the stages of the teaching, may I please all the victorious ones by accomplishing it. By skillful means inspired by strong loving kindness, may the vital points of the path that I precisely know clear away the mental darkness of beings. May I then uphold the victorious one's teachings for a long time. In regions where the supreme precious teaching has not spread, or where it has spread but then declined, with my heart deeply moved by great compassion, may I illuminate this treasure of happiness and benefit. May the stages of the path to awakening, well founded on the wondrous deeds of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, bring glory to the minds of those who seek freedom and long preserve the victorious one's achievements. May all human and non-human beings who eliminate adversity and provide conducive conditions for practicing the excellent path never be parted in any of their lives from the pure path praised by the Buddha. When we strive to properly accomplish the universal vehicle through the 10 deeds of the teaching, may we always be assisted by the mighty ones, and may oceans of good fortune spread everywhere.
Due to this merit, may we soon attain the awakened state of Guru Buddha, that we may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their sufferings. May the precious Bodhi mind not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline, but increase forevermore. In the snowy mountain pure land, you're the source of good and happiness. Powerful Tenzin Gyatso Chenrezi, may you stay until samsara ends. May the deeds of explaining and practicing the Dharma, done by groups supporting the teachings and their upholders, who spread the view of dependent arising and non-violent actions in the 10 directions, and especially at Sravasti Abbey in the West, flourish.
The this last prayer was composed by Serkong Rinpoche for the Abbey. And then we will conclude this part with a dedication we call Star Spangled Compassion. You'll know the melody when you hear it. And it is both a sincere wish from chapter 10 of Shantideva's Guide to a Bodhisattva's Way of Life, a sincere bodhisattva aspiration, along with a heartfelt wish that we follow our intent to root the Dharma here in this country strongly, and that we purify as much as we possibly can to move forward with a nation leading from the place of kindness and compassion and wisdom. May all beings
everywhere, plagued by sufferings of body and mind, obtain an ocean of happiness and joy by virtue of my merits. May no living creature suffer, commit evil, or ever fall ill. May no one be afraid or belittled, with the mind weighed down by depression. May the blind see forms, and the deaf hear sounds. May those whose bodies are worn with toil be restored on finding repose. May the naked find clothing, the hungry find food. May the thirsty find water, and other delicious drinks. May the poor find wealth, those weak with sorrow find joy. May the forlorn find hope, constant happiness and prosperity. May all who are ill or injured quickly be freed from their ailments. Whatever diseases there are in the world, may these never occur again. May the frightened cease to be afraid, and those bound be freed. May the powerless find power, and may people think of benefiting each other for as long as space endures, and as long as living beings remain. Until then, may I to abide, to dispel the misery of the world.
So we'll end our celebration with a joyful circumambulation around the Buddha Hall, chanting Chenrezi's mantra, Om Mani Padme Hum. Venerable Sangye Kadro will guide us a little bit in how to think about what we're doing as we circumambulate, how to visualize, and how to hold. Yeah.
So circumambulation, or korwa in Tibetan, it's a lot easier to say in Tibetan, so maybe we can learn to say that. Doing korwa. This is a practice done in Tibetan Buddhism, so if you've ever visited a place where there are Tibetans or people who are practicing Tibetan Buddhism, you probably see them walking in a clockwise direction around holy objects like stupas, temples, statues, even mountains like Mount Kailash in Tibet, a holy mountain. People walk around that. And it's a virtuous activity. It's a practice to create virtue, to create merit, which is the cause of happiness and spiritual growth, all the way up to enlightenment. So basically, the practice involves going around in a clockwise direction, either by foot or, like here at the Abbey, I think it's wheelchair friendly. So yeah, even if you can't walk, you can go around in a wheelchair. But anyway, moving around a holy object. And to make it as positive as possible, as virtuous as possible, we need to keep certain things in mind. One is the motivation. So we've already generated positive motivation. So it's good to have that as part of your practice and not just be walking around, but just to think, I am going to do korwa, do circumambulation around this holy object in order to create merit for happiness, for myself, for others, all the way up to enlightenment. You know, if you can have that as your motivation, then it's really powerful. May this bring about the enlightenment, the awakening of all sentient beings. So to have that motivation. And then my teacher, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, he's a great proponent of this practice, and he gave a lot of teachings on how to do it. He said it can involve all three of our doors, body, speech, and mind. So our body is moving around this holy object. And then with our speech, we recite prayers, like we're going to be chanting Om Mani Padme Hum as we walk around. But if you're doing it on your own, you can have your mala, the prayer beads, or even if you don't have prayer beads, just reciting mantras or prayers or sutras. So doing something with your speech. It doesn't mean you have to do it out loud, but just at least, silently, doing something virtuous with your speech. And then the mind is the most important thing, our state of mind. So ideally we are focused on what we're doing and not thinking about other things or just looking at the scenery. I mean, you can do that too, but the most important thing is to have a positive state of mind. And that can include several elements. One is a sense of reverence, faith, respect in the holy objects. Like here in the Buddha Hall, even though the main statue is not yet finished, but there's lots of other statues, smaller ones. We have 2 Buddha statues, one in the Posada room, one in the dedication room, good-sized statues. And then there's many smaller statues. And there's also scriptures. We have at least, I think, 2 collections, complete collections of all the Buddha's words, as well as the commentaries by the great Indian masters. So they are up there on the shelves. And then there's many other images on the walls. We're not yet finished, of course. We have more to bring in. But already, and downstairs in the library, lots of books containing the Buddha's teachings. So we already have a lot of holy objects in this place. So just feeling respect, reverence for those. The qualities of the Buddha and his teachings, how much benefit they bring to ourselves, to others, to the world. So just a feeling of reverence for these holy objects. And my teacher, Lama Zopa Rinpoche, said, this is additional if you can, imagine that as you're going around, you're leading all sentient beings. All sentient beings are there with you. Don't worry about how they'll fit, but just imagine them. They're going around with you and getting the benefit of the practice. And he said you can also imagine light flowing from the holy objects into you and into all other sentient beings and kind of washing away, clearing away, purifying our negative karma, our sickness, all the bad stuff that we want to get rid of. And it's also blessing our minds to increase our positive qualities, our compassion, our love, our wisdom, and so on. And also, he said, you can remember emptiness. Whatever understanding you have of emptiness, or at least dependent arising, as has been said here, these holy objects came about through so many causes and conditions, from so many places and so many times, so many people. So just think about that and how they don't exist inherently, independently, in a solid, concrete way from their own side. So they're empty of that kind of existence. So whatever understanding you have of that, you can bring that into mind as well. And that's the nature. The nature of all things is that emptiness or voidness, lack of inherent existence. So in that way, the holy objects here are also connected with holy objects everywhere in the world, such as the Mahabodhi Stupa in Bodh Gaya. I've had the wonderful fortune to stay in Bodh Gaya sometimes for months at a time, and every day I would go to this holy place where the Buddha attained enlightenment and walk around the Mahabodhi Stupa, and I could really feel the benefit. Sometimes my mind would be really messed up, and just walking around a few times I would just feel so clear. So it definitely has benefit that you can sometimes experience even in an immediate sense. But of course, if you do it with the right motivation, then you're creating a lot of merit that will bring benefit in the future as well. So it's hard to understand this, but because all phenomena, including all the holy objects, have the same nature on the ultimate level, the ultimate nature of all of these is one, is the same. So in that way, when we're walking around one holy object, we can be thinking we're walking around all the other holy objects, such as the Mahabodhi Stupa, other stupas, other holy objects around the world. So if that makes sense and you can keep that in mind, then you can think that way as well. So we'll just be walking around once. I think we only have one time to do one.
Yeah.
One or three.
How do people feel? We could do three. Let's do one. Okay, we'll do one.
We'll do one.
Oh,
Okay,
I see
running
proponents
late.
for three. Let's do it
But
this
you
way.
can always do it on your own later. You
Yeah,
can-
but what's also possible, I think, because of the heat, not everyone actually is probably physically wanting to do this, so that's really okay. If we do it 3 times around, everybody can just peel off at whatever time that they stop, so that those who are eager, like 333, just keep walking. We'll do that 3 times for those who can hold up as much as they can. And if you need to step out and head down the hill, lunch is the next item on the agenda. So that would be the guide. I think that'll work for everybody's needs, I hope. So how we'll do, thank you, last thing, okay, how we'll do this logistically is that we have traditionally we have our Anagarika leading with the 8 auspicious signs at the front of the pack. Our 2 most junior nun and monk will follow with incense, which will be followed then by Rinpoche, Venerable Children, and then we'll go in Venerable Sangye Kadro, we'll go in something like ordination order, which may be hard to create, and then everyone else just stepping in line behind. So I'll start the chanting here in a few minutes as everyone starts to head for their shoes. We will start out the very front door here. Just turn right and then follow her, the one in the blue suit. And so if we get in position for that and head in that direction, we can start chanting now. And we have some supplemental chanters. Chant out.